How's it going? It is a beautiful day. A beautiful day to be cute and gay. Y'all, we have a lot to talk about today. And also, not gonna lie, I am super stoked because this morning I got a pumpkin spice latte. Yes. Out of all the days, Starbucks decided to bring back pumpkin spice on the 26th of August. And I mean, I got one, so I guess it works. But I was like, aren't you waiting until September at least? The barista was like, well, that's what I would do. And I'm like, well, I ended up getting one anyway. So anyway, good morning, everyone. And pumpkin spice is so good, okay? I'm not gonna lie, it's probably overrated, but I think it's pretty good. Ellie, hello! I'm so happy to see you here. Akicha, good morning. Hello! Y'all, we have a lot to talk about today. And if you happen to miss yesterday's live stream, definitely go check it out. That was a pretty good one. Yesterday's live was all about how is Donald Trump dying, his medical conditions, the state of, his health. But then in addition to, seems to be talking a lot more about heaven and is seemingly a lot more religious than he used to be, which is interesting. And so we were talking a little bit about that. Is he going to get into heaven? So if you haven't watched that live stream, definitely go click on the live tab and you can check all of that out. Something I'm going to be doing today, I didn't get to it really much yesterday, is I'm planning on going through and editing my live streams and creating shorter segments. That way I can post all of them. So anyway, hello and good morning. Make sure to send some likes as you're jumping in the live here. So, oh my God. Today we're going to talk about war. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. I was watching yesterday's live when you came on this morning. Oh, C-Bar, hello. Make sure to send some likes as we're jumping in here. Yes, so today we're going to be talking about how Donald Trump apparently wants to rename the Department of Defense. He wants to rename it back to the Department of War. And this is the same guy who's like, let me tell you, I'm the most pro-peace president. It's not like I want to rename the department back to the Department of War. It's not like I want war. I just want to rename the department back to the Department of War because we're doing offense in addition to defense. We can't just do defense. We have to do offense as well. If that means invading another country like Greenland or Panama, like the Panama Canal, then let me do it. I have a legitimate belief. I'm like, I don't know if conservatives or MAGA people, I should say, to be more specific, I don't know if they actually understand the hypocrisy or if they just ignore it because it's easy for them to just ignore what is inconvenient to them. Anyway, but make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. We're going to be getting into a lot today here. Donald Trump has announced that he's changing the name of the Department of Defense. He's like, we're just going to do it. We're just going to rename it. We're just going to rename it. He wants to rename it to the Department of War. Yes, you are not. Yes, that is what is happening here. Y'all please make sure to send some likes. Let's get the stream started strong. We're a little bit slow to start, but let's just get further into it here. Oh, and by the way, maybe to help send some likes, that's my cat. I found him in the sink yesterday, and I was like, that's so cute. Anyway, I just had to share that. So, President Donald Trump said that he wants to rename the Department of Defense, and that if it needs legislative approval, that Congress will just go along with it. I say jump, and they say how high, because it's not like they're licking my asshole or anything. It's not like they're all the way up in there, tasting the orange goodness. Anyway, the U.S. Department of Defense was created by the National Security Act of 1947 and its successor to the U.S. Department of War. So it initially was called the Department of War, and they renamed it. They renamed it because Americans were tired of war. They were like, you know what? We don't need that. Let's just call it defense. Also, when we're talking about language, some of it can just be like, if you would just want to like change the language around, yes, it can be seen as like moving around chairs on the Titanic. Okay, is it really going to matter? In some cases it does, in some cases it doesn't. For instance, in this case, I mean, if you're renaming the Department of War to being the Department of Defense, it kind of shifts the way that you go about looking at national security. As instead of being a Department of War for the purpose of war only, if you're doing it as defense, then it's not offensive. It's not like you are looking for trouble. If you brand it as the Department of War, then like it sounds like you are very much looking for trouble. So, I mean, just breaking all of that down there, that kind of wording is important in that sense. Not even to mention that, you know, if it's someone's name or pronouns, that it's important to respect that language change as well. But that all being said, sometimes if you just rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, like, what the hell? What is that supposed to do? What is that for? Is that's like, what kind of progress is being made there? You know, it's like renaming a body of water. Is that really gonna like lower grocery bills? Is that going to lower the cost of your prescriptions? Is that gonna actually tackle anything substantive? No, it's just an illusion of progress that is used and animates the base, I guess, to own the libs, which is so stupid. Anyway, but let me well, actually no, I don't need to turn on my car. I'm not too hot yet. But so the US Department of Defense was created by the National Security Act of 1947 and is the successor department to the US Department of War. So it used to be called the Department of War. But like they renamed it because it's not just about war. Y'all, please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you, even if you don't like me. My phone might be getting a little bit hot. Maybe that's why. I am gonna turn on the car, actually. Okay. Anyway, so, the Gulf of America, I love it. All right, cool. What did that do to substantively, like, improve your life? You know, it's just those little things that, like, it's those little things that are so stupid, but like, what does it do to actually substantively change your life? You know, why is Donald Trump so concerned with trying to rename the Department of Defense to being the Department of War instead of, I don't know, maybe actually doing stuff to stop our military offense in Gaza, us aiding the Israeli government? If you want to talk about, oh, well, we need to improve defense, how about let's actually promote diplomacy, diplomatic solutions, pro-peace solutions, instead of giving endless arms overseas? You know, it's just, or berating a country's leader like President Zelensky, who he was invaded by Russia. Like, it's just so silly. Anyway, that all being said, he wants to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Yes, you are not dreaming. He says, and let me get out my little hands here. Well, you can watch the decline into the evening, and then also this morning, these interviews, he said. So it's late at night. Oh, wait, no, hold on. That's the wrong thing. Just kidding. My bad. I was like, that's from yesterday's live. That was actually Alex Jones talking about Trump's health. My bad. My apologies there. This is what he said. We will call it the Department of Defense, but between us, I think we're going to change the name, Trump said. I think we're going to have some information on that maybe soon, because I think, you know, Department of Defense, we won World War I and World War II. You know, it was called the Department of War. And to me, that's really what defense is a part of that. I have a feeling we're going to be changing it. So he's like, we're going to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And the only reason he's wanting to do that is because he thinks that that is somehow going to improve it. Americans don't want any more war. We don't. We don't want our country to constantly be at the center of like all these wars abroad. And that goes across the political spectrum. Like, a lot of Americans are tired of our government giving endless amounts of money to Israel to then unalive and kill innocent Palestinian people. They're like, oh, well, we're going after Hamas. No, they're not. They're literally trying to ethnically cleanse a country. Like, that's not up for debate. It's so obvious at this point. Even Republicans are starting to see it. And also, us continuing our aid in Ukraine, I get it. I get it. They were invaded. They are our ally. But it's also exhausting when Donald Trump is also, like, I don't know, rolling out the red carpet for a guy who invaded our ally. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And Republicans, y'all act stupid on purpose to avoid any critical thinking. Anyway, that all being said, it's like, we're tired of war. But Donald Trump wants to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. That's so dumb. It's so dumb. What does that do to physically, substantively change anyone's life? Improve anyone's life? But see, here's the thing. He goes along with it and does it because, MAGA, you're stupid enough to fall for his tricks. You're so stupid to fall for his tricks. You're like, oh yeah, that's why I support Trump. He's renaming the Department of Defense Department of War. Ew. Like, seriously? Seriously, that's what gets you so motivated to vote for him? Can't you actually look at something more substantive? Like, it's just so stupid. Trump thinks that Americans are stupid, and every single time any MAGA person follows him, he proves them right. He proves them right. And I'm just trying to tell you, don't just follow what the cult says. Think critically for yourself. Does renaming the Department of Defense Department of War change anything substantively, material conditions in your life at all, whatsoever? None. None. In fact, it actually might do the opposite, because renaming a department to being more like warmongery actually might take more of your money and put it towards offensive weapons overseas. Anyway, but Donald Trump was talking about yesterday how we call it the Department of Defense, but between us, I think we're going to change the name. I think we're going to have some information that maybe soon, because I think, the Department of Defense, we won. We won World War I. We won World War II. It was called the Department of War. Is he also saying that, like, I would not be surprised if Donald Trump is at least asserting that the reason that we won is because it was called the Department of War. And, like, I would not be surprised if he actually says it or thinks that way. He's talking about changing this and making it, different sometime soon. But later on, News Nation reporter Kelly Meyer asked, and so the Department of War, how do you plan to do that? It requires an act of Congress to rename the Defense Department. And he goes on saying, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do it. I'm sure Congress will go along if we need that. I don't even think we need that. I don't even think we need that. And I'm sure Congress will go along. He's basically just assuming that, like, people are going to capitulate to him anyway. Y'all, this is what a dictator does. Doesn't care about the rule of law, does not care about any sort of checks and balances or barriers or any collaboration or compromise. It doesn't matter. He's just going to get what he wants like a whiny little tantrum titty baby. Seriously. Seriously, all he does is whine. And see, the Republicans that capitulate to him, y'all have the idea of calling yourself alpha males. You're literally just following around what Donald Trump is saying and doing. You don't even have any critical thought for yourself. You're just like, what did Trump say? Oh, does that contradict what we were initially saying? Sure. You know what? Let's just follow what he says. Grow a spine. Think critically for yourself. Don't just follow what someone tells you. Don't even just follow my opinions. I want you to challenge my opinions. But make sure if you challenge me on certain things that it's based in fact, not just some sort of desirability complex of what you want to be true. Like, it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. Literally, I feel like Trump is actively making America more stupid. and so stupid populations of people are easier able to be controlled. So, yeah, just saying. Anyway, continuing on here, it's just funny. Later on, the reporter asked, and so the Department of War, how do you plan to do that? It requires an act of Congress. He's like, we're just going to do it. Yeah, don't call him a dictator. Don't call him that. MAGA hates that. Don't call him a dictator by just saying that he's going to do whatever he wants, regardless of the barriers in his way, regardless of the procedure or the checks and balances or the separation of powers. Don't call him a dictator just because he attempts to override the whole structure of our government that our founding fathers put in place there. Don't call him a dictator because he brags about wanting to be a dictator. I mean, that's stupid. Like, Trump thinks that MAGA is dumb. And every single day that they purchase another one of his hats, purchase another one of his shirts, he proves them right. He proves them right. It's bots removing comments that don't align with your narratives. What are you talking about? Bots removing? No, these are real people. My bots are words. I don't even have any bots. I don't even know how to program a bot. Bots will be the downfall of the internet. It's so crazy. Projection. You know what that is? It's when you project onto other people what you in fact constantly do. I did a whole live stream at one point back over on TikTok talking about how bots are going to destroy the internet. There's also a lot of far right-wing content creators that actually program their own bots. There are members of Congress like Nancy Mace that apparently program their own bots in order to spam comments by fake profiles of people. Oh, I hurt their feelings. 100 of them just left. I love that. Anyway, they're removing they're removing hateful comments. Exactly. Thank you, SBAMA. They are removing hateful comments. Period. End of story. I open Grindr and I get 67 bot messages. Yeah, no, honestly. You know, it's just like, there's so many bots out there. But yeah, going back to this, don't call him a dictator just because he wants to do stuff without any sort of barriers. Don't call him a dictator just because he wants to completely, you know, suspend the Constitution if it's convenient for him. Yeah, don't call him a dictator that he wants to rename something without getting Congress's approval. Don't call him a dictator just because he talks about wanting to be a dictator or jokes about being a dictator. I mean, that would be stupid. I swear to God. I'm renaming Mar-a-Lago to Pedophile Palace. Oh, yeah, he still will not release the Epstein files. You know, it's so funny is Trump's like, fine, just release the Epstein. How about you fucking do it? How about you release, like, there are parts of the Epstein files that are under the jurisdiction of the judicial branch. But if Trump wants to actually bring stuff to light, he needs to get Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi to release the stuff they have in the executive branch about the Epstein files. But no, they won't do that because they're cowards, because it implicates them. And MAGA, you're so stupid, you fall for it every time. People will laugh at the Department of War even harder than they do at the Gulf of America. God, it's so funny because I actually, yesterday, just for fun, I typed into Apple Maps on my phone, Gulf of Mexico, and it just was like, it just said Gulf of America. And I'm like, that is so stupid. It's so stupid. It gives this idea to these MAGA conservatives that are dumb, that there's this illusion, it gives this idea of illusion of progress. So it's like, oh yeah, we're unwokeifying America by naming it Gulf of America. And so what if Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, decides, you know what, we're not going to call it America anymore. We're just going to call it Mexican America now. Which is literally what she said in response. Like, why don't we just do that? Also, Texas used to be part of Mexico. Why don't they just take that back? Like, it's just, do people not realize the insanity? Do you not realize the insanity? It's crazy. It's so crazy. Then going on further here, he'll have to rename the Department of Transportation too. Can't encourage kids going trans. Let me tell ya, we can't encourage any sort of transportation. We can't do any of that. You know, it has trans in the name. We're gonna have to get rid of all the stuff that have trans in it. You know, we're gonna have to ban any sort of transportation. We're gonna have to ban any sort of trans fat or trans noodles Or, you know, anything like transform, you have to get rid of the transformers. Sorry, metal hunk weirdos, you can't have any more transformers. No more transformers. You know, you can't have any of those boxes. The boxes with the power in them. The big transformers that have all the lines of power. Yeah, those transformers are woke. They're woke. We're gonna call them light boxes. We're gonna call them light boxes now. It's like you wanna eliminate anything that's trans. He's gonna eliminate the Department of Transportation. I'm gonna call it the Department of Car, Train, Bus, Boat, and Yacht. Oh my god. We have this person that types in all caps that is like ranting about whatever hard work that he's doing. Girl, what is it like deep throating on that mushroom head that hard? Anyway, it's so silly. And continuing on here, this person was like, you know what? If he wants to rename the Department of Defense Department of War, I agree. And he's like, well, the U.S. is the biggest perpetrator of war around the world. It's actively funding a genocide over in Gaza. So yeah, this name is a lot more accurate. Why not? Also, just as a quick little thing, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to send some likes. Seriously, it does help out the stream. Just ignore the craziness in the chat. You cannot get through to someone that has the inability to listen. You can't. So, to everyone that is watching, please send some likes. I love all of you. It's also, this person said, you know, the real name of the Pentagon should be the Department of Missing Trillions. And it's like, you know what? That's true. You all know that the Pentagon has literally like failed every single audit on their budget. Every single one. They can't even account where billions of dollars go. That's your hard-earned taxpayer dollars that go to defense. So like, if they can't account for where those billions go, maybe that's what we should call the Department of Defense. You know, the Department of Missing Trillions amounts of dollars that go to deep state weapons contractors like Raytheon or Daniel Defense or Boeing, you know? Trump's job is to distract us from the fact that billionaires are stealing from us. Or, you know, the Epstein files, that's another one. How about the department that has never passed an audit? Is also what that guy said. It's always the it was always the Department of War until World War II. Calling it the War Department is more honest and gives very little wiggle room when it comes to dropping bombs on every little problem because we must, quote, do something without congressional approval. That's interesting. It's like, oh, let's just call it the Department of War so we can drop bombs on everyone. Let's just blow more shit up in order to solve a problem. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, y'all. This person's like, actually, that name fits very well for a nation founded on wars and genocides. Yeah, very true. I mean, this nation was founded upon the displacement of Native American people, oftenly viewed and talked about as a genocide. Yeah, sure, there might have been some collaboration between settlers and Native Americans at one point, but that was obviously revoked very quickly, especially when Andrew Jackson, our president, forced a whole bunch of people off their land in what is known as the Trail of Tears. A genocide where they did not care about these people living or dying, just taking their land. So, you know, maybe we should call it the Department of War. This is the same group that also did the internment of Japanese and some German people during World War II. For whatever national security that they had. You call it the Department of War? Sure. That's fine. Like, it's just so stupid. Why is our government focused on renaming a department instead of promoting diplomacy? And for people who are like, oh yeah, Donald Trump, he's not a warmongerer. Are you sure about that? He actively is sent National Guard troops to patrol around DC, using the military against civilians. Civilians! For all these MAGA people that are like, yeah, the Democrats are going to create like a police state. Do you not realize that's what Donald Trump is doing right now as we speak? We're going to be getting into that more and more. But like, He's literally taking law enforcement and sicking them on the people. He's taking our National Guard and declaring war on America. That's what Donald Trump is doing. He is taking our pre-existing ICE, pre-existing National Guard, and he is deploying it on American citizens. And it's all done under the guise of, oh, we're going to go after the undocumented people. Have you actually looked at what's happening? They're pulling over people who look Hispanic, even if they're true, like, citizens. And they're brutalizing them anyway. It's just so stupid. MAGA, you're so stupid for falling for a dictator. A dictator that literally will say and do anything because you fall for it every single time. At least Democrats and, I guess, leftists and people were just trying to inform you, give you some critical thinking. It's just like, we're telling you to think for yourself. Listen, your family's going to be next. Your family's going to be next. It doesn't matter. If you have a disabled kid, you're next. Seriously, like, there's, I cannot, we're going to talk into it more and more, but, like, I guess it does make sense for Donald Trump to say, you know, let's rename the Department of Defense Department of War. Sure. It's just so crazy. Also, I'm going to quickly turn off super chats for just a hot second. And the reason I'm doing that is because, oh gosh, it just makes it so much nicer and easier for my moderators to catch up, muting and blocking people that are obnoxious. It just, the peace. This nation was founded on wars and genocide. So Donald Trump wants to rename the Department of Defense Department of War. Yeah, sure, that could be seen as very honest. Yeah, sure, okay. But is that a good thing? Americans don't want war regardless of your political affiliation. So the fact that he is spending the time renaming the Department of Defense Department of War is so stupid. And this person said, can't I open my phone without Trump spouting more crap? Doesn't he realize how much it will cost just to change a name? We're not woke. We were not woke in 1947 when the name was changed. We have real problems in this country, and changing defense to war will not fix any of them. The Department of Mass Murder would be more accurate, but, you know, returning to the Department of War, its name until 1947 would be welcome, is what that person said. You know, okay, why don't we just change it? And another thing, he's like, it used to be called the Department of War, you know, and it has a stronger sound, you know, defense. I don't want just to be defense only. We want offense too. So you're like, we want offense too. What kind of offense? Where? You all remember him talking about trying to invade Greenland? Invade and take Greenland, which is a territory that is under the control of Denmark, actually. They have their own autonomy in a sense. J.D. Vance went over there in some sort of clown parade and was just like, yeah, how about y'all want to be a part of America? And they're like, no, get out. But like, okay, so you want to be the Department of Offense too. And this is the same guy that wants a Nobel Peace Prize. It's just, MAGA, you're dumb. You're so fucking dumb. You're so dumb. You fall for it. This guy's trying to rename the Department of Defense to being more offensive, and you think that he's the anti-war candidate. Yeah, Joe Biden was helping to do a genocide as well. Yes. But when you consider what Donald Trump is actively doing, he wanted to turn Gaza into a hotel area for his resort. For anyone that does this like false equivalence both sidesism, they're both bad, but Trump is exponentially worse. He was talking about trying to take back the Panama Canal by force. Greenland he wanted to take back. He was even joking. He's like trying to acquire Canada. He was like talking about, oh, let's just have Canada become the 51st state. This is not a guy who's pro-peace at all whatsoever. Not at all. And like one of the reasons the name was changed after the Second World War was because people didn't want war anymore. People don't want war now. We don't want any more war. We as Americans want our government to stop funding offensive arms to Israel that kill more innocent Palestinian people. You even had racist Marjorie Taylor Greene even introduce an amendment. Credit where credit is due. That was crazy. I was like, whoa, I guess a broken clock is right at least once a day. But like, we don't want any more war. Yet our president is actively stoking more and more war tensions. Like, let me just also get to this here. National Guard has now been authorized to carry weapons in Washington, D.C. So, starting coming up on Sunday, I believe, Sunday is when National Guard troops will begin carrying weapons as a part of Donald Trump's crackdown on crime. What he deems as crime. You're sicking the National Guard on American citizens. You're not even letting the police do their job. I'm not the biggest fan of police, but you're not even letting them do their job. You're not. And if you want to talk about crime, red states like Mississippi or Alabama or Indiana have higher crime rates. They have higher crime rates than other places. It's just, you want to talk about crime? How about you don't try to like point other fingers when you got a whole plank in your eye. Yeah, no ma'am. No ma'am. It's so stupid. And this is a guy who's like, oh yeah, I want to be known as a pro-peace candidate. Let me just rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I swear to God. And MAGA, you're so dumb that you fall for it. Trump thinks that you can be controlled. And so far, you prove him right. You prove him right every single time. Every single time. It's just, God, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. We live in the stupidest timeline possible. We live in the stupidest timeline possible. The National Guard has been authorized to start carrying weapons. He's actively taking our military servicemen, women, and people and deploying them against American citizens. Don't be fooled. He's like, oh, we're going after crime. We're going after the homeless. Oh, we're going after undocumented people. That's all the excuse. He's using this to create a police state against you and your family. He's actively turning America into a police state. The stuff that that like MAGA was talking about. They're like, at one point, they're like, yeah, Democrats are going to do that. And we're like, no, we're not. But guess what? You start doing it and you're like, oh, no, this is good. Shut the fuck up. Also, like, we're all in the same boat here. We're all in the same boat. We don't need to be doing this. We don't need to be taking the National Guard and deploying it against American citizens. Our founders would literally be screaming right now about that. Are you willing to dismantle the entire American democratic system, the entire democracy, our entire republic? MAGA, are you willing to dismantle, are you willing to dismantle the entire system of our American democratic republic for the purpose of, quote, owning the libs? Seriously. Seriously, are you willing to completely overthrow our entire country because you have been so radicalized from Fox Entertainment to the point where you just want to completely destroy and upend the country so that you can own the libs? Or you want to do something that actually collaborates and helps everyone? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah, super pro-peace, right? Since August 24th, roughly 2,200 National Guard members stationed in Washington, D.C. have been authorized to carry service weapons, according to an official statement. The directive comes with strict conditions. Troops may use force only as a last resort and only if confronted with an imminent threat of death or serious injury. And I wrote here, I'm like, yeah, that's super subjective. Giving the police no real accountability. It's like, oh well, that person threw a paper ball at my face. I could be seriously injured by that. It doesn't give them any real accountability. It doesn't. It doesn't whatsoever. You know? This adds a whole new layer to the deployment after that began earlier this summer. And President Donald Trump has now hinted that Washington, D.C. may not be the only city that he is attempting to control. He told reporters at the White House that he is considering sending forces to Chicago, New York, Baltimore, and Oakland. So he's starting with D.C. and then wants to go outward. Donald Trump is actively making the United States of America, he wants to make it into a police state. If you can't see that, then I'm sorry, you're just stupid. You're just dumb. I'm not your enemy either. Like, it's funny because people are like, oh, that's good, or oh, sure, let's go for it. Are you serious? We're Americans. We have freedom and liberty. Like, we don't need to be policed like that. We don't need our National Guard, led by a crazy madman in the White House, to then be sicking the National Guard on us, to then oversee everything. Where are all the people that say, don't tread on me, don't tread on me, don't tread on me? Where? It's so stupid. And Donald Trump literally actively has made a cult. You don't even question anything that he says. You don't look at him and say, actually, is that okay? Is that good? You don't do any of that. None. You just follow what he says. Compare that with Democrats. Democrats threw out Joe Biden from the 2024 race at the last second and replaced him because they're like, yeah, the dude is kind of old. Maybe we should try someone else. Democrats have massive amounts of infighting all the time, whereas Republicans will unite around the stupidest idea possible. Someone says facts don't care about your feelings, dude. Yeah, that's what I should be saying to you. You know what the facts of the situation are? Donald Trump is trying to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. He has actively deployed troops, deployed National Guard into D.C., saying that he's going after undocumented people or just crime, but he's using the National Guard to create a police force. He's now wanting to do other cities as well. Like, this is the same guy that wants a Nobel Peace Prize, but yet jokes constantly about trying to invade other places, taking Canada, taking Greenland, taking back the Panama Canal. This is a guy who dropped bombs in Iran and then was like, no, 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 no. Like, this is a guy who's actively giving more and more money towards weapons to Israel to continue a genocide. Do you really think that in any sort of way that, like, this guy is somehow good for America? You cannot reason with stupid. If you think facts are on your side, I'm sorry. Go see your optometrist because you need to get your eyes checked, hun. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Geez, where was I? But continuing on here. Yeah, he is now authorized armed National Guard patrols in Washington, Chicago, Baltimore. He's actively taking the National Guard and deploying them on American citizens. You remember when he said that he wanted to go after the enemy from within? Well, guess what? You are that enemy. You, citizen. You are that enemy. If you have any sort of slight disagreements with our dictator, warmonger in chief, then guess what? You are what he calls the enemy from within. You disagree with anything that our dear leader says? Great. They're going to send someone to your house and patrol you. Think I'm exaggerating? It's just... I don't know what else to say. The Pentagon literally is planning a military deployment in Chicago as Trump eyes crackdown. I mean, right, it's a joke, who cares? So it's so funny. This also gets at, like, okay, so when Donald Trump says something, is it a joke or is he being serious? The fact that you cannot tell is dangerous for someone in a position of power. What happened to stopping wars in 24 hours, right? Anyway, so Chicago, according to the Washington Post, and is part of the Pentagon plans for deployment of several thousand National Guard troops. Trump bashed the Windy City on Friday, while Mayor Brandon Johnson warned the president's deployment of troops would be an illegal use of power. They're like, yeah, you don't need to come to Chicago. Let me also point out, what's so interesting is, like, Donald Trump at one point was like, look, violent crime is down in D.C. This was like back in May. He was talking about how, like, CNN plays a clip of Trump May 7th saying that street and violent crime in D.C. is down by 25%. So he's like, crime is down, crime is down, crime is down. And then all of a sudden, he's like, crime is super, super bad. Crime is up. That's why we need to deploy the National Guard against people in D.C. At the same time, he's saying that, oh, we need to deploy the National Guard. His own FBI director, Kash Patel, was out there on the same damn day being like, yeah, thanks to Trump, crime is super, super down now. And when we look at the statistics of DC, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing with the numbers. This was as of August 11th, all right? We are seeing a percentage change from 2024 to 2025. Now, if you want to attribute this to Trump, cool, that's fine. But you see how crime is going down? You see how it's going down pretty quick when it comes to all these other things? Now, just pointing this out here, you did see a little bit of a rise after the pandemic. You did. If you want to attribute that to Joe Biden, sure, whatever floats your boat. The numbers are there. The numbers are there. But, like, crime was already going down before you had the deployment of these guards, these troops. It's so silly. This is all just an excuse. Imagine if this was another politician of an opposing political party. Do you really think that you would buy this kind of excuse? No. But see, for MAGA, they're a cult. There's no logic needed. There's only convenient actions. Oh, if that goes towards what is going to accomplish helping me, then great. Like, it's so stupid. Y'all, please make sure to send some likes if you're enjoying this stream. It does mean a lot. It really does help out the stream. What's so funny is if you actually, I'm not the biggest fan of CNN, but what was so funny was him talking about we need to deploy the National Guard troops on DC because of so much crime. At the same time that like CNN was just airing like Metropolitan Police data, which I just showed you. Was like, look, violent crime is down. He's like, we need to deploy the troops. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Imagine if that was Joe Biden. Imagine if this was Joe Biden. Republicans would rightfully so be clowning on him. But then when it's Trump, it's like you don't even care about actual substantive facts or policy. See, and that's a huge difference between people on the left and on the right. A lot of right-wingers, you truly do not care about anything substantively unless it benefits Team Red. Facts are facts. Seriously, you don't care about anything other than what is convenient for you to then further your team. It's not about anything to serve the American people. It's not about anything to actually fix any substantive issues. No, it's only about furthering Team Red. Team Red. What's going to help Team Red? What's going to help Team Trump? You don't care about issues. You don't care about anything regarding solutions to issues. None of it. Imagine if anyone else did this. Exactly. Also, moderators, how are we doing? How are we doing? Someone said, wow, you're slow. Why is like the live glitching at some point or something like that? How are we doing in the chat here? I just need a little breather here. Hold on. Whew. It's just so unhinged. If you're a quiet listener and you are watching the live stream and you're just like with us in the room and you are just like shaking your head at everything here, just type below in the comment section for just a second. Type SMH, shake my head. Trolls don't spell good. If you are someone that is enjoying the live stream and you're just quietly watching, maybe you're getting ready for work or you're on the way to work, or maybe you You're doing the laundry, taking care of the kids, making the little meals for school. If you are just watching and you're just shaking your head, just type SMH in here. Just type SMH in here. Because the fact is, like, Trump is literally trying to take he's trying to take, he is literally deploying the National Guard on American citizens. He's renaming the Department of Defense Department of War. And there are certain people that are so stupid that they don't even see past his ruse. It's exhausting. Politics is exhausting in this day and age. My goal here is not to make you angry or upset, and I apologize if I end up doing that. I'm just trying to inform you. But I also just, like, emotionally, it's like, really? Really? Trump thinks that so many Americans are dumb. And look, every single time they follow him, they prove him right. They prove him right. Well, I try to logic people who have no grasp. Oh yeah, no, I don't even try to reach them anymore. But like, they prove my point every single time. Every single time. Every single time. First time, oh, thank you, Joey Peterson. I know, I do these lives almost every single morning, Joey, and it's crazy. When I'm just reporting objective information, they try to make it up for debate. That's what's so dangerous about this political moment. Like, real tea between us as core fam in here. The biggest danger about our political moment right now is when far right-wing people try to take the facts, the data, the science, the statistics of objective reality and make it up for debate, up for interpretation, up for discussion. Certain things are not up for debate. Climate change, scientifically, objectively happening in front of our very own eyes. You want to have a debate about it? Fine. Let's have a debate about how to tackle it, how to approach it, how to mitigate it. Not how to, oh, let's just deny. No! You can't do that! You can't just take science and deny it. You can't do that. It's so stupid. Or the objective, like, let's pretend that I didn't like that I don't like how Donald Trump won the 2024 election. Imagine if I were to be like, oh yeah, that's up for debate. That's up for debate. Every single time and Trump was like, are you happy that he won? I'm like, I don't think that he won. You know, that's up for debate. I don't think that he won. You know, that's up for debate. That's up for debate. They would be like shitting their pants being like, what are you talking about? It's objective facts. Nope. It's not my belief. Not my belief. That's up for debate. That's up for debate. That's up for interpretation. Let's see if I need to read this super chat here. Oh yeah, I knew that. You realize the Department of Defense was originally altered. It was originally the Department of War. Yes, I did know that. I was actually talking about that earlier on. And so, well, right now it's like, okay, Americans broadly do not want war. They don't. And I think that's regardless of political affiliation right now. So the fact that, like, he wants to rename it to the Department of War kind of shows that he wants to continue to, like, beef up more war tensions. He wants to escalate more war. It's just crazy. It's crazy because then, you know, like, you're literally just trying to, you're just making more and more tension. That's what it is. I think I've exhausted all of that. I want to share something with you all here that's interesting. Speaking of escalating tension and escalating war, you know, Donald Trump has escalated a lot of tension and war. He really has. Like, I mean, when we talk about dehumanizing, he does a lot of that quite constantly. So I actually wanted to share this with you here. This is a dynamite segment, okay? That I'm about to share here. All right. I love all of you. Department of War kind of lit. More like Department of War definitely gonna bomb and blow shit up. You can read it, but you already addressed it. Yeah. Well, so I want to address this here. All right. Give me a second. All right. So I was doing research for this segment, and I came across a lot of, I don't even want to. While I was researching for this segment, talking about how Donald Trump wants to rename the Department of Defense to being the Department of War, and how he wants to make it more offensive, which is his goal. He's like, I don't think that it's just defense. I think it is also offense. I was like, you know what? Let me ask Grok how similar Trump and Hitler are. You're like, oh, that's a cheap shot. Is it though? Is it though? I asked Grok, a right-leaning AI chatbot. I asked Grok, you know, how are Donald Trump and Hitler similar? Are they using the same tactics to go after certain ethnic groups? It's a fair question. How are they similar? Are they using similar tactics to go after ethnic groups? So this was my response, and I'm going to actually turn off the chat here for just a hot second because I want people to listen. I asked Grok, and make sure to please send some likes. It really does help out the stream. How are Trump and Hitler similar? Are they using the same tactics to go after certain ethnic groups? Grok's response was really illuminating. Comparing historical figures like Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler is a sensitive and complex task that requires careful consideration, yada, yada, yada. Both figures have been analyzed for similarities in their political strategies, rhetoric, and leadership. Well, let me break it down further here. Number 1, scapegoating and targeting minorities. Hitler's Nazi regime systematically scapegoated Jews, Romani people, other minorities, blaming them for Germany's economic and social woes. His propaganda, detailed in Mein Kampf, described Jews as poisoning the nation, dehumanizing them to justify discriminatory policies, exclusion, and ultimately genocide. Okay. And now Trump has used inflammatory rhetoric targeting certain ethnic groups, particularly undocumented immigrants. His statements such as describing immigrants as, quote, poisoning the blood of our country, echo dehumanizing language used by Hitler, as noted by critics. This rhetoric has been used to rally support by framing immigrants as threats to national security. Look at that. Wow. Are you, like, even Grok, a far right-leaning chatbot, is like, it's pretty evident. Y'all, I don't know if the live is lagging, but we have really low attendance, which makes me really, really worried about the live stream. Is it just like, is there something happening on the back end here? Like, I'm just genuinely, let me turn back on the comments here. Is there something happening on the back end where like, where it's just not functioning correctly? Because it's kind of worrisome how low attendance it is right now. But like, when you compare, you all remember when Donald Trump said that, you know, he said immigration is poisoning the blood of our nation. You remember that? No, he's not saying that we need to be stricter on immigration. No, he used the term poisoning, like blood poisoning, purposefully. That's lagging and glitching some, is what my moderator said. Okay, great. Love that. So, illegal immigration, he says, is poisoning the blood of the country. It's crazy. It's crazy. Do I need to restart the live stream if it's lagging? Should I restart the live? Or not? Just let me know. I'm just going to continue on here. The projection is so real. Here he talks about how the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but rather by those who watch them and do anything, without doing anything to stop them. It's like, you're the one that's actively like destroying things. You're saying that immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country. So when we're comparing Donald Trump and Hitler, it's pretty evident. Hitler's Nazi regime scapegoated Jews, Romani people, other minorities, blaming them for Germany's economic and social woes. The same way that Donald Trump blames immigrants for literally making our country less safe. He's like, they're coming from prisons, they're coming from mental institutions, they're rapists, they're drug dealers, they're all about crime. He's literally doing the exact same thing as Hitler did. He's using these same exact tactics and language, dehumanizing a whole group of people. He's trying to erase trans people by eliminating the health care that these people receive. He claims that people like me, like a gay guy, are somehow dangerous to kids. Dehumanizing people, viewing them as lesser than. Continuing on here, both leaders employed scapegoating to channel public frustration towards specific groups. Now, Grok was like, though Hitler's targeting was far more systematic, state-driven, and genocidal, while Trump's rhetoric has primarily focused on immigration policy and has not yet led to state-sponsored extermination. It's like, okay, not led to it, except we have CCOT. We have Alligator Alcatraz in the works. Do you think that Donald Trump, if he had if he was given no checks, do you think that he would actually, like, develop like concentration camps like that? 100%. 100% he would. Also, Hitler and Trump are very similar in this way. Promoted a greater vision. So, the greater German Reich, using ultranationalism to unify supporters under the banner of racial purity and territorial expansion. Who else is trying to expand territory? Talking about invading Greenland, making Canada the 51st state, taking back the Panama Canal, constantly obsessed with expanding territory. He just renamed the Department of Defense. He's attempting to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War for the purpose of being more on the offensive, meaning he wants to invade countries and take their land. It's very similar. Trump talks about, he's like, I'm going to make America great again, assuming that there was greatness in the past. Well, what kind of greatness are you talking about? He wants to restore, bring it back to a time of sanity, is what he says. Well, at what point, what part of that is inclusive? What part of it is exclusive? Like, yeah, his cronies have began bragging how much the Gators will have so much food because of Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, and this is the same guy who's like the No More Wars president, right? Right? You know, it's just... And then, like, when you compare it to Trump, his nationalist sentiments, restoring American strength, prioritizing national interests, as what he says, his unique ability to fix the country, that unique ability which is literally being cruel to all these undocumented people instead of giving them a chance at due process. And they're both, another thing, they're both viewing themselves as saviors. And now Grok was like, yeah, well, it's a little bit different because Trump focuses on economic and cultural nationalism within a democratic system. And I'm like, a system that he rages against and is using every authority to dismantle at every turn. Like, this is the same guy who is constantly trying to change the system to benefit himself all the time. That's just the nuances that the AI chatbot cannot get at. Number 3, the use of media and propaganda. To his credit, Trump does use media really, really well to his advantage. He is pretty savvy with it, using television, social media, large rallies to dominate the news cycle. Hitler did the same thing, masterfully exploited the radio, film, print media, mass rallies like those in Nuremberg to energize his supporters and intimidate opponents. Both understood the power of media. And it's interesting because it says here, However, Hitler suppressed independent media to control the narrative, while Trump operates in a pluralistic media environment with robust opposition. And I'm like, robust opposition that he is constantly trying to dismantle and eliminate. Because he talks about how you want to revoke the licenses of media companies he doesn't like. He's trying to revoke media licenses of people just because he doesn't like what they're saying. Period. End of story. Now, what makes Fox News, in my view, a little bit different? They actively were lying. Defamation to the tune of $787.5 million and $2.6 billion for literally spewing misinformation, lies, propaganda that they knew was wrong about an election. Whereas you just don't like what these people are saying, even though it's not substantively incorrect. It's just, oh God, it's just so, it's crazy. It's crazy here. Because he's saying, oh, well, we need to eliminate those outlets that I don't like. It's like, Trump operates in a pluralistic media environment with robust opposition that he's trying to dismantle. And again, those are those nuances that I don't think that an AI chatbot like Grok will understand. Continuing on here. Oh, challenging democratic norms. Look at that. Undermined the Weimar Republic through legal and extra legal means. He rejected electoral losses claiming fraud in 1932. Oh, look at that. So Hitler denied the outcomes of elections that he lost. Oh, Trump did the same damn thing. Look at that. Oh my God, another connection. It's like they're almost similar. It's almost as if Trump has viewed part of his strategy very akin to how Hitler went about his. You think I'm being exaggerating? Like, I just asked a AI chatbot. And they're like, both question electoral legitimacy to maintain power. And it's like, this person was like, but Hitler's actions dismantled democracy entirely, while Trump's occurred within a resilient democratic framework, like checks, like courts and media. Again, courts and media that he's attempting to dismantle at this very second. He is a dictator. He is trying to change and make America become a dictator police state. If you had asked me if I would be saying this 2 years ago, I don't know if I would say yes. But I don't use these terms lightly, y'all. There's so much evidence to show this kind of stuff. Also, legislative discrimination. Just stripping Jews of citizenship and banning interracial marriage. Well, you know, it's like Donald Trump is trying to do the same thing, dehumanizing people, claiming that immigrants are eating dogs and cats and pets, claiming that immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country. He tried to do a Muslim ban, repealing DACA. These are legislative attempts to change things. So, like, it's just, I don't understand how anyone can't see it. It doesn't see it. I don't understand how anyone doesn't see it. And then last but not least, it's like, you know, he's just trying to do all those things. Trump's rhetorical attacks on people. You know, Trump is so similar to Hitler. I don't know what else to say. Anyway. But I don't know what's happening with the live stream, but it is kind of stagnated and it's kind of worrying me. So I want to check about things on the back end. He's literally Hitler. Yeah, and I don't say that lightly. I don't say that lightly at all. You know, it's not like I'm relishing in that fact. I'm not happy about that. There's so much evidence to show that Donald Trump is literally desiring to be Hitler. And unless the Democrats actually flex muscles and really try to stop it, then Republicans are going to get what they want. You know, it's really, really sad. Someone says you have no knowledge in this. Dude, just because you don't like the information I just provided does not mean that it's false. It's so funny. It's so funny. You probably just scrolled in here and you're like, you don't know anything about this. You know that you're projecting. Anyway, I need to skedaddle because I need to get to, well, today is my day off, but I have something I need to get to. I love all of you so, so dearly. Even if you don't like me, just pure, raw, and simple. I'm not your enemy. I'm your fellow American citizen. And the fact that Donald Trump is actively taking National Guard troops and deploying them on American cities for the purpose that he wants to go after, you know, undocumented people or lots of crime. It's like, that's not the reason he's doing it. He's doing it to create a police state. And you're stupid enough to fall for it. You're stupid enough to fall for it. And it's only going to be when it's too late for America to reverse back that you're then going to admit that actually that I was correct. That a lot of people were correct. Trump is dangerous not even just to Democrats, but he's dangerous to America. Like, doesn't matter your political affiliation. So, you know, it's so frustrating that so many Americans are too dumb to fall for, too dumb to see through it. So, anyway, shout out to my amazing moderators. I need to get going. Akicha, Ilisa, Cherie, Joanna Tech, Kate, I love all of you so much. Ellie, I love you. Ellie, you're incredible, and I appreciate you being here. I'm going to just check on the back end if my live is doing okay. I might do a little bit of like a special news coverage later on. Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate that. Anyway, I love all of you so much. Even if you don't like me, just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!